predominantly predominantly male, but a handful of female coaches as well. So didn't work with any of the soldiers on base, but some of them were around and watching. So predominantly the coaches that are going to work with the military personnel and some of their in-house physical therapy staff was some of the coaches that were there. So it's cool.
Cool. Sounds like a fun time.
Yep.
And as far as why you're here today, some of you might have seen a post that I did yesterday, a reel on kind of chronicling some of the stuff that Kyle and I have been working on for the past couple of weeks at least. Kyle and I have a lovely history over the last, year and a half now, mate?
Yep.
Yeah, we've gotten to know each other relatively well. What was your original injury date for your disc herniation, Kyle?
February 20th.
Of last year, so
Yes.
2022, Feb 20 of 2022. Kyle had a disc herniation, lumbar spine, lower lumbar spine, and we worked together for a couple of months, and things were trending quite nicely. Until we had a flare up and a full-on extrusion that migrated into the central canal, and things had to go into a surgical direction. So the cool part is, one, Kyle is sharing his experience for the benefit of those of us in my line of work, and also for folks out there that are dealing with this kind of injury in a strength athlete kind of environment in the gym and want to get back into the gym. So what we did over the course of Kyle's rehab is put together essentially the Fix Your Own Back program leveraged towards strength athletes, with Kyle's specific input on that as a coach at Kabuki. And one of our other coaches joined us on that as well. It's Brandon Morgan. That is a 13-hour continuing education available to you if you're a member on the NeuroCentric Approach online academy site. And the most recently, and why I did the reel, is Kyle had an interesting turn of events several weeks ago. He started to have posterior shoulder pain with benching. And Kyle, we know from the work that we did together when we were rehabbing him for his disc injury, his shoulder mobility is quite nice. We were able to get to an overhead squat press with 50% of his body weight, which, if any of you have tried that, try taking 50% of your body weight with dumbbells, put it in rack position, squat to full depth, putting your butt on your heels if you can, and then press that weight overhead, a SOTS press, and then stand up with the weight overhead with your elbows straight. And this guy could do that. That's a good requisite for shoulder mobility, thoracic spine mobility, scapulothoracic mobility. And yet, Kyle showed up with some posterior shoulder pain with benching. As we talked about it a bit, one of the interesting things that had changed in Kyle's work or his workouts was he had moved to a high bar squat position, which is different for you. Talk to me a little bit about that and why you did it, Kyle.
Yeah, so I haven't done high bar squats without utilizing the transformer bars of our Kabuki Strength, which is definitely going to move. If you're not familiar with it, it's going to move, and it's padded, so the load is not going to be in the same place directly across your spine, but the lever arm will be similar. Anyways, I haven't done high bar squats since owning a CrossFit gym in my CrossFit and weightlifting days, which is at least 8-10 years for now, right? Having programmed it, so a very long time. I feel a little bit better high bar squatting, as I told you, Just feel a little more upright, which happens with most lifters, which makes me feel a little more confident crossing into the 400 pounds again in my back squat for this upcoming competition. And it just felt a little bit better shoulder mobility wise. So I figured, since I never train that way, when I'm crossing back into 5s and 600 pounds in my competition squat, I'll definitely be a lower bar squat and have sleeves or knee wraps on. So all I'm wearing is a belt. So I figured if we capitalize on a little more quad dominant squat, it's not going to hurt me in the long run as a competitive lifter.
Yeah, but we had what appeared to be some collateral damage on that, because when I did our NCA assessment on Kyle, as you might have seen from that little video, I'll pop that up on here in a bit after he's gone. He's got some limited time with us this morning. But when I did the NCA assessment on him, it looked like we had about 30% improvement in our index test that we were using clinically, just by working a McKenzie approach in his neck. So that makes us think, okay, so we've got potentially a neurological issue that's going on here. I then went downstream along the peripheral neurology in the area that Kyle was having his pain in, which is the posterior shoulder. And the leading suspects when I go into that area are going to be the axillary nerve and the radial nerve. And when we went into that area and did a little bit of DTM using dynamic cupping, we had about 90% improvement. Kyle worked that rubric for about a week in his training, and then came back in just a couple of days ago and said he was feeling quite a bit better, but was still having some pain on bench. So I went out into the gym, which is right down the hallway from my office, with him and Charlie Ritchie, our female world record holder there at Kabuki, Jack Bartlett. What's Jack's squat now, Kyle?
He just took 750 and he's still 19.
Yeah, it's 19-year-old squatting 750. He's
easy 750.
Yeah. This guy is an animal. He's going to be a great as he continues on out there. So keep an eye out for the name Jack Bartlett. But those guys were in the gym training. Kyle is ramping up because, as you noted here, he is going back onto the platform. How long after your surgery?
We are going to be a year and 2 months, maybe almost a year and 3 months, but yeah, right over a year.
So just beyond a year, and he's gone from a lumbar disc surgery to back on the platform. And his bench was painful, as I mentioned. We went out on the floor after his first set. I checked in with Kyle and said, "Hey, how's your shoulder feeling?" And he had a little bit of pain with lockout, I believe it was.
Yep.
And we went back into the treatment room, and I did some work on his cervical spine using manual traction and manipulation. And then we went and repeated our work on the posterior shoulder, and he went back out. And you hit a PR on that, I believe.
Yeah, tied my best in training. And then we went back to the office for round 2, came back and hit a gym PR for sure. And it beat my best competition bench by 8 pounds as well.
Awesome. So Kyle is now, and that pain in your shoulder been going on for how long?
Been right over a month, maybe 6 weeks.
Okay. And remind people why I'm only seeing you to address your shoulder pain when it's been in your body for 4 weeks. Why am I only seeing you at this point? You're busy. This guy's off all the time, on the road with Kabuki and doing trainings like he did yesterday. So for JBLM. So we've got a pretty cool thing here. Kyle, as we mentioned, is United States Powerlifting Association head coach. Our U.S. team is #1 in the world, and Kyle is also head coach at Kabuki Strength Lab. Kyle, talk a little bit about your position with USPA and what that means. What do you do with them?
Yeah, so I took over, this will be my second year. I took over for Team USA previous coach. He had 4 years running. So we've had world record or gold medals. The last 5 years, Team USA has won for both untested and tested worlds. My job is to collaborate with the athletes and their coaches. Most of them are working with outside coaches, not necessarily Kabuki Strength, and ensure their success on the platform. So I get to travel wherever world's at and help fine tune them on meet day. Most of them I've worked with a little bit virtually, but make sure that they have their most successful day and we have the best chance at continuing to win gold every year.
Awesome. So Kyle is a wonderful individual for us to have right there for me in office at my digs at Kabuki Strength, and just an incredible, upstanding human being to be around and share space with on a regular basis. And I'm really excited for you, Kyle, coming back from your injury, your surgery. Again, those of you that are not on the platform, the NeuroCentric Approach Online Academy, there's a 13-hour program on there. You can follow, those of you on Facebook Live can follow the link that's on here to get access to that program. You can also find it if some of you guys are less in the clinical end of things and you're more in the strength end of things, a strength coach or whatever. While I do think you would get benefit from the NCA platform, you will get more benefit from what Kabuki has done now with their EDU program, which is compiling all of the continuing education and coursework that they've amassed over the last several years. And they put it on the Kabuki EDU system. That's $39 a month. And you've got something like 300 hours of content on there right now. So there's 2 places that you can get that same course, over on my platform or over on Kabuki's platform. Both of them are going to be awesome, and you'll find some incredible information there to help you out. Okie doke. So I think you are ready to roll with the rest of your Saturday, my friend. I appreciate you dropping in and saying hello. And we might run into each other again in this environment in the future. If those of you who are watching have any questions to pose to Kyle, then we can do a follow-up a little bit later if you'd like. So Kyle, have a great Saturday, my friend. You be well.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
Cheers. So I am going to share screen now and go over and show you the video that I did with Kyle.
Posterior shoulder pain with bench press after moving to a high bar position on back squat. I'm Dr. Philip Snell. I'm working today with Coach Kyle Young, USPA head coach at Kabuki Strength Lab. First, we get an index position. Then we're going to work our way through the various neurological elements. First, working at the nerve root IVF. After applying an intervention there, we had about 30% improvement. Then we moved to a peripheral nerve intervention. After that, we had 90% improvement.
Day difference.
We gave it about a week with Coach Kyle working on that on his own before he returned to the office. We did some more work on his neck to open up the neural foramen there. And then we repeated the peripheral nerve work over the axillary and radial nerve. And we take it on to the gym floor to see if this dog hunts. Just another day at Kabuki where you're witnessed on your workout by one world record holder with Jack Bartlett and spotted by another with Charlie Ritchie over the bar here. This is Coach Kyle attempting a personal best on bench press after having 7 weeks of pain.
So there's a very nice little synopsis of what we did. Those of you that are not on the platform and are naive to this whole neurocentric approach thing, check us out at the link here on your Facebook Live feed at NeuroCentric Approach Online Academy. And to get a, while I'm screen sharing here, to remind you of the lay of the land back in this area, I really like this plate from Netter. This one, these are all of the primary shoulder issues that we see when a patient comes in, and they've got, in response to your query here in the chat room, Jerome, and they've got some sort of cervicogenic kind of issue that's going on in that shoulder. I'm usually going to see some combination of 4 nerves that are involved with that. You've got the dorsal scapular nerve up here, going down the medial border of the scapula, innervating the rhomboids. You've got for motor in the rhomboids, and also the levator scapula. And then you've got the suprascapular nerve, very high payoff there, right as it goes under the ligament at the, or the hiatus here at the scapular spine, providing motor innervation to the supraspinatus and to the infraspinatus as well. That is a common entrapment point that we will address manually. And then for Kyle, where we were seeing it mostly was down here in the triangular interval for the radial nerve. Also, we get a little bit of input there on the axillary nerve. Now notice all of these are coming off of the spine at C5-6, and that's going to be the area that we see the most commonly some degenerative joint disease in cervical spine to start to show up. Why do I think the high bar position with Kyle set him up for that? In a high bar position, those of you that are aware of this, I'm sure most of you are, with the bar up high, you're laying it essentially right across C7, T1, and that often will put a person into a cervical protraction position, which narrows the neuroforamen, makes it a bit more likely that if you already have some encroachment in those neuroforamina, that you're going to get some additional compression on that neurology right as you're asking those motor nerves to be very, very, very active. So sometimes we'll get an issue in athletes when they are high bar back squatting in that particular way. All right, let me get off of my share and let's go over to the chat room. Yep, so Dr. Justin Dean is on. He is concurring with what we were seeing with the issue with the anteriority of Kyle's head position there. Justin, you got your ears on? And future Dr. Kat Rohde is here as well. Hey, Kat, how are things down in LA today?
Hey, Philip.
Hey, Diener, how's it doing?
Good, good. Beautiful Saturday morning. Somehow it's raining here in LA.
Well, we got your good weather up here in Portland today.
It's been strange down here, but I wasn't aware of that case, and that was a very obvious NCA like case. So I don't have a lot to add, and the only question I did have, because I think I missed it, was where was he having pain? Posterior pain?
Yeah, posterior shoulder pain with bench. So my thinking is that I'm going to go back to the screen share here. My thinking is this is an important point right here with that particular issue. that radial nerve goes through an intermuscular septum right here. Some of you might have seen the post that I put out earlier today. It's gratifying now to see the Steco camp focusing so much on the impact of neurology within the fascia. I'm very pleased to see that they're focused on that these days. But the paper that I put out was and have been talking about over the last couple of days is their most recent one, describing the fascia, the innervation of deep fascia and its relationship to communication between various muscle groups. So here's a good example of that right there. In that intermuscular septum, the radial nerve wrapping around the elbow or coming down into the elbow at that point, Kyle was getting the pain on full lockout when he would get full compression of that radial nerve from the overlying triceps muscles in that particular area. And then everything in the arm says, no, you don't, and won't let him lock out. And he was actually having pain not only in the posterior shoulder, but also in the biceps, with what he was calling the biceps, but on palpation was looking more like it was this particular point in the intermuscular septum, right around the corner there.
Right, and that's a particular area that once I started focusing on it, definitely made a huge difference in just shoulder, elbow, neck cases. Did you do the transverse nerve mob all the way down the radial nerve?
Actually, I've only stayed so far on the DTM stuff, primarily because in the intervening week, he's able to get to it a little better. Most power lifters, those of you out there that have played with them, understand that they can't do this. They're so thick that they can't reach around and get to things. So it's kind of like, so we've got to come up with ways that they can work with it. So I was modeling using a cup that I know that Kyle has at home that he can get to, get it on that point, and then do things on his own. This week, he's got one more heavy bench session to peak before he does a 1 week taper before his meet. And we'll be doing the T&M for that particular area.
Good stuff. Good case.
Yeah, we got folks asking for that T&M course too on the site, my friend. So that's your baby. So you gotta show us how to play in the T&M pool.
I'm working on it. Filming starting probably next weekend.
And then we've got to get the new. We got to get our designer to get a logo for T&M then too.
That is the old school DTM shirt, or is that the Yap shirt?
That is
Oh wow!
OG MF.
Mine went. That's super old school right there.
Yes, it is. That's
2015 probably.
Yep, that's about right.
Wow, good stuff. Good
So,
stuff.
let's see, what else do we have today? We've got review of the week. Let me take you guys to this. Hang on a second. I absolutely love this. Dr. Adam Moore is a member on the site. Adam works with the ACA Sports Council, I believe. He is an incredible doc on his own, a wonderful running focused practice here in Portland. And for those of you on Facebook Live that can't read this over the shoulder, I'll read it to you. Adams pinged me yesterday and he said, I won't be able to join for coffee tomorrow, but wanted to share this with you. And it's a text from one of his patients that he had seen. It says, Adam, OMG, you're right. I did everything exactly like you said several times yesterday, and I'm literally 75% better today. I feel like I could possibly even run. I'm not going to. I'll just do some light walking today, but OMG, I cannot believe it. From such extreme pain to feeling like I'll be completely fine tomorrow, that's absolutely insane. I'm not going to lie. I thought there was absolutely zero chance it was the nerve because of how bad it was. And I just felt like it had to be injured, but nope. You've helped me long enough for me to know just to trust you, and that saved me a lot. Imagine the cost and the stress. So happy. Thank you. See you on Monday. And Adam says that message is from a patient who came in yesterday, barely able to walk due to anterior hip pain that came on quickly over the previous 48 hours. After using the ilioinguinal approach, it became an obvious femoral and ilioinguinal nerve issue. She left the office still limping, but sent me that message this morning. So that's our review of the week. That's a tidy little thing as well that both Justin and I have seen. I had a similar case several years ago that with similar effects, and that put me in front of the entire Kaiser Northwest physiatry department, trying to explain at that time what YAP meant. And that's when we changed the name of it to dermal traction method.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. Was Adam there when we did the lower extremity, when we did all the capsular mobilizations?
Yeah, he was.
I wonder if he did that on there.
Yep, I bet he did. We'll check with him to see what he's been doing with that. I've been doing that as well. The stuff that those of you that haven't taken our in-person courses, Justin typed out the spray pattern of the operator nerve, especially in its innervation of the hip joint, and correlated it to the orientation of the collagen fibers in the hip joint. And with that in mind, he came up with some brilliant ideas about how to mobilize the hip joint, specifically to try to facilitate capsular mobility and capsular versus obturator nerve innervation patterns within the hip. It's gorgeous, and we go over that in the in-person courses. But I'm doing that on another case that I've got right now that I'll do a similar video hopefully this week and kind of post that, a quick little synopsis of NCA in action with Rudy Cadleb, who some of you might have seen him in. He's been in Men's Health magazine several times. Their strength coach, main strength coach at Men's Health, is very tight with us at Kabuki, and we've interacted several times together to help get him out of the weeds with issues. But those guys are fond of Rudy Cadleb as well. They should be. Rudy is now 74. And over the last 4 years in his life, he has PR'd in all 3 of his lifts from age 70 to age 74. And indeed, when I put that video together, I'll show what has become an issue of him to showcase that every year on his birthday. He tries to do a PR on deadlift. This year, he attempted 524. A bunch of us were in the gym there watching. And unbeknownst to all of us, except for Coach Kyle and Chris Duffin, who both walked over to him just before he did the pull and said to Rudy, "Hey, I think you've got 2 in you." And Rudy not only attempted to PR in his deadlift at 524, he pulled it for 2 reps. So Rudy is an exciting, wonderful individual for all of us to aspire to his level of function when we get to be 74. And right now, he switched over coaching, as we will sometimes do at Kabuki, to get a new vantage point on things. He's prepping for a meet in November, and he took on Coach Kyle. And Kyle kind of deep diving some of the things that he's been dealing with over the years, uncovers that, Rudy says, it I don't know why, but when I warm up with 135 in my warm up on deadlift day, I have incredible pain. And that's like 8 out of 10 in my adductors, now my hip adductors. And he's like, it's never really a problem. It's not 8 out of 10 is not a problem, right? He's like, it's never a problem because, after I warm up, it's fine. And then I scarcely notice it during my warm up sessions. Okay. Now, those of you that are listening, you've got a pain over an area of a musculotendinous region that is painful when you first start to move and then gets better when you move it a lot. First thing that comes to mind sounds like a tendinopathy, right? Well, how do you treat, according to best evidence right now, a tendinopathy? That's Karen Silbernagel's work. That's slow, heavy lifting. That's exactly what Rudy was doing. That's his workouts, slow, heavy loading of that. But his pain was not getting better. And how long has it been in place? At least 2 years. So he'd just been kind of ignoring this for 2 years. I went in, assessed. It was the first time I'd seen him for this. And it played like an obturator nerve issue. Did work over the obturator nerve, TNM, according to the stuff that we were just talking about from Dr. Dean, and did the hip mobilizations. I always say, I tell the patient I'm getting ready to play Twister with him and throw their leg over my shoulder and then do the mobilizations we cover in the in-person courses. And we got some quite a bit of benefit there. He came back the next week. And he said that he was 80 to 90% better on warm up. And he then subsequently in the week showed a couple of posts where he PR'd for his 2-rep max and his 5-rep max on squats, and has PR'd as well in his deadlift now. And he's 6 weeks out at least from his meet. I think he's 8 weeks out from his meet. So he's going to crush his previous world records in all likelihood in November. So we're pretty excited about that. So Kat Rohde, talk to me about R2P down in your neck of the woods. How are things going down there?
It's going pretty good. I gave it to someone else to take over. So I'm like going into the clinical stuff, but they're doing really good. And I know that some people have started your stuff, so it'll be good to get that going as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Let me put a question out to you guys, since we're among friends and such here. I would like to know what the best way to put this platform out there is, and in what sort of consumable fashion. Kat, in response to you guys that are students and stuff, and I completely appreciate that you're trying to make things work financially. I put the subscription base down there for $39.99 per month. I'd had some conversations with my wife about this. My wife has had a platform in the past for continuing education for mental health care providers. And she was like, she said, I think you're missing the mark on that, because the people that are coming on looking for continuing education, they expect to pay for it and then have it. And that would suggest a single payment option, kind of like what we started with the lifetime members that are here on the program. But I'm tossing it out there to the group. I'd appreciate any feedback from you guys, and those of you that watch the recording on this, shoot me an email at drphillipsnell@gmail.com. Let me know what you think, and we will put something together that meets the needs. Here's another idea that we came up with. Just last night, we were having date night and walked down to our local Irish pub. And we're sitting outside having Scotch eggs, by God. because that's what you do when you're redheaded in an Irish pub. And some of you might recall that once upon a time, when both Justin and I were up here in the Pacific Northwest, we used to host a thing with Patrick Ward and others called the Rose City Rehab Performance and Microbiology Group. And in that, we would get together in a pub about once every 2 weeks. Chris Baskey was formative in that as well. Chris is now over in Japan with his family. But we would get together and we would talk shop and drink beers and periodically have special guests and stuff as they would come through town. Again, the wife came up with a great idea of us not only doing a coffee thing like this, but having something like NCA on tap. And we show up in a pub, rent a room, and we do what we're doing right now, but we broadcast it on a big screen in the pub, in a private room in the pub, and have those of you that are in other towns that are putting together study groups for this kind of stuff to do the same thing. And then we kind of like meet each other. It'd be a cool community vibe, I think. I know you're up in BC, Jerome. I know Tony McDougall put together a BC group like that in Vancouver. You guys could certainly put something together up in Kelowna. There's enough docs playing this this process up there that have been through my office and such that I think we could have some good fun up there.
And I'll add to that because I went through that process as a student. I guess it was almost 10 years ago now. It's just weird to say. Sort of. Anyways, but I mean, those groups were probably, besides just networking, it probably opened my eyes as a student that just the subtle little things that people would say, you don't really realize at the time how much it affects your future, because they say something and you're just like, and it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it seems too like I know we used to have a standing rule that we don't talk shop until the second pint. So I don't know, those days of drinking are maybe not quite the same level for me now, but I think there's a similar kind of vibe there. You massage the prefrontal cortex and a little bit and take some of the inhibitions off, and then we all just start riffing on things. So I have a desire at some point, Justin, you and I have talked about it individually, but I have a desire once we get this up to a little bit of a larger group to when the weather's reasonably nice and the roads are clear, I'm just going to hit the road and I'm going to do a road show, and we'll continue to do these kinds of events online, live, and but I think I'm just going to take my dog and take off for about a month and drive to various areas where we've got these clubs set up, and just kind of have a cross-pollination of the NCA material. I hope to maybe even make it up all the way up to Edmonton and see my buddy Jeff Kubos up there, and go through Calgary and see Adam Robinson and some of the old school folks that you went to school with, Diener. So that is probably about all I've got for today. Justin, you have anything you want to toss in here?
Let's see. My focus over the next several weeks is to polish off all the articular mobilizations for the shoulder and hopefully the elbow, for the transnerve / tension nerve glides of the capsule. So look forward to that. And yeah, no, I'm excited. This is good stuff. Hitting the road would be awesome.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Kids, but it would be awesome.
Yeah, and as far as in-person courses too, we've got some folks that are starting to show up and say, hey, why don't you come to my town? So we're looking right now, looking at coming to Austin, looking at coming to St. Louis. Let's see, we've got a couple of folks in Canada, some folks interested in hosting in Toronto, in Winnipeg. Some folks up in Calgary, that are interested there. Rob Tenove maybe will get in touch with us as well about this. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you're interested, and Justin's got some interest, and I guess Kat and those folks down in LA, we could get together and do a course together down there as well. So if you want us to come to your town and put it together, we will accommodate. So just hit us up. You guys take care. It's wonderful chatting with you on your Saturday, and go out, have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to you same time next week. Be well. Cheers.
Bye-bye.